Speaking moistly, keep 2 meters apart. Speaking moistly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our usual Tuesday afternoon edition of Speaking Moistly. With me, as always, Greg. How you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. It's crazy what's going on. So you and I didn't talk last week. Things were crazy busy. We were talking the week prior about the Emergencies Act, and the big heavy hitters hadn't got there yet.
Yes.
We hadn't even seen Jeremy McKenzie, and or maybe we had seen Jeremy McKenzie, but not anybody else. It wasn't like the Tamara Lich
Mm,
had already done. But
right.
I think. And so now all that's done. I think both of us were saying from the very get-go that absolutely nothing is going to come of this, is absolutely a useless waste of time, and nothing's going to come of it. So now that that is absolutely proven 100% true, did you watch any of the Emergencies Act?
I was in a group chat that kind of was covering it closely. So every now and then I kind of tune in and kind of see what people were talking about. But by the end, I really couldn't stomach it. I made a video making fun of Justin Trudeau lying at the Emergencies Act.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like I spent a lot of time on that, hours making
Did
this
you?
thing, making fun of Trudeau. I don't think I even watched a full 2 minutes of what he had to say.
Yeah.
Only because it's like I am physically incapable of doing it. I don't want to have to uh put myself through that. I think I have like too much self-respect
Indeed.
to put myself through that. How about you?
I watched a little bit of it, but the more I watched, I was trying to suss out what the um, government was going to, because I knew from the beginning that this whole thing was going to be a farce. I thought there's no way that the
Mhm.
response of this is going to be Justin Trudeau acted improperly, and really we should examine this Liberal government. Not a chance. It's not going to be the response of all this. So how are
Right.
they going to justify this? So I was trying to see the angle. And when Justin Trudeau and they started talking about how there was a legal opinion that was super secret and we couldn't know about the legal opinion or who gave the legal opinion, but that was the legal opinion that's the linchpin of this whole farce. And that's the little thing that we can't see. That's going to be the thing that, Rouleau says, oh, wow, that's the thing. I just wanted to see the angle. But as Christia Freeland wasted time, she had an earpiece in. She can't hear. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There were so many little bits like that, and it all goes to. Do you remember remember teabagging in Halo?
Of course. Of course. I don't know if
Yeah,
my if our
it
audience
feels like
does, but you feel like we're
there,
being teabagged.
there's
Oh
a
man.
group of right. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like I remember gifs of people teabagging each other on
Should we
like a
explain it to our
Halo
audience
Reddit.
in case they
Go
don't
ahead.
know?
You want to explain it?
So
I can
so
explain it.
teabagging is you're playing a video game and it's one where like, people are shooting each other. And teabagging is once you kill your opponent, you go over their dead body. This is a video game,
Yes,
and you kind of crouch on top of their head, as in like you
because
are putting your crotch like right on top of their head, teabagging. It's
it's a
very
power
crass.
move.
It's locker room talk. But that's kind of what Mark's referring to here.
That's
So so
exactly what
so you're
the
saying in the last week of
so well hold
the
on
public.
just to finish,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
just to finish off. So when you got killed in Halo, or like, yeah, Halo was the main teabagging thing. When you got killed, it took a minute to respawn, and so like your dead body would take a minute to die, and as that was happening and you couldn't like fast forward through it, you would get teabagged, and then the person would be like, yeah man, that happened, right, and moving on, right, and
Mhm.
and now that's what the inquiry feels like. That's exactly, like, you can't do anything, like you can't fast forward through this. Do you know what they're using? Because now they're debating what was just talked about, and they're talking about, we really need to work on how to roll out that bank freezing thing a little bit better. We'll go in and we'll let them know that if you're here in 48 hours, we'll freeze your
They're
bank account.
they're saying this in the House of Commons already.
They're doing this in the yeah, there's a post inquiry discussion. I can't remember. There's a name for it. I should know the name
In
for
the
it.
House of Commons, though.
Well, it's in the same kind of room that the POEC, like the Emergencies Act inquiry is in. It's like the next
In
phase of the inquiry. But that's one. We should figure out a better way to freeze people's bank accounts and let them know, so they know that their bank account is going to be frozen if they stay. And the other one
mhm.
was the cryptocurrency. They want to crack down on cryptocurrency because and money, because um, that really helped the truckers. So they're talking about being able to turn off cryptocurrency that was foreign and turn off the internet that's foreign. Can we just take an IP address and like shut that down? So they're using the emergency and the Emergencies Act invocation to further the power and control that the liberals have. And they're using it.
So the real nefarious stuff has started then, essentially. They're like, okay.
And it's all on display.
Yeah.
But nothing's gonna.
I mean, it's on display as in its public information, but it's not,
Well, they're discussing it. They're discussing it very publicly, and the short videos and longer videos are very easily accessible. But most people don't.
But who's covering it?
Nobody. Oh, of course not. Nobody.
Yeah, Canada Poly's covering it. Maybe
Intrepid.
True North will cover a little bit of it.
Yep.
No, that's similar to what one of my theories was, which was, they're going to try to finesse this whole thing into, and that's why we're taking more of your freedoms away. So this can never happen again.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So that's brutal. I didn't know that there's a whole dedicated post inquiry.
I didn't either.
Freedom taking away session. Hey guys, let's brainstorm how this can I thought that I heard that they have to wait until February until they have a conclusion.
They're gonna table the report. Well, I'll find the link after, and I'll try and put it in the description. But I'm notoriously bad at forgetting to put the links in the description of this show specifically.
So the link, guys,
I'll do my best.
The link might be in the description. Maybe
it might be.
You get to find out.
We'll see.
Exciting.
So we'll see. But yeah, I think the whole inquiry and everything associated with it is meant to take the story and make it fit into a narrative. And the narrative is one that we well know. And the next steps are we're going to strengthen our protections against these threats. And they'll use words like that. And then by removing your freedom on the internet, because that's the only way to do it. We can't have free speech on the internet because that leads to individual free thinking, and that's wrong.
Yeah, it could be. If there's anything that I've noticed is I feel like they're always trying to keep that channel open in terms of like, could this connect to censoring the internet? Could that connect to censoring the internet? It's almost like all roads lead to censorship in terms of like how they look at any sort of crisis, any sort of issue. Like they'll, it doesn't, the trucker convoy is an opportunity to do that, but stuff to do with race is an opportunity to do that. But you're right. Like they're always trying to draw that line. See, look, therefore you can't have freedom of speech anymore on the internet because of trucks. But I will say, I think something that's happened with the inquiry is, and I apologize, I may have said this before, but it's almost only polarizing the kind of different camps in this country, because if you are somebody who is a normie and you do not pay attention to politics and you hate the convoy because the TV told you to hate the convoy, you're only going to hate the convoy more and kind of feel more sort of emboldened and entitled to your opinion, because what effectively happened is public officials showed up and lied, and were just total incompetent people who did not answer questions. However, the news media kind of just took all those lies and amplified them into the news media. So it's like, oh wow, there was violence there. Look what Zexy Lee said. So like all the lies from the inquiry got elevated into the news as fact, as totally legitimate, as fuck the convoy people, pardon my language. And then people like us and the other camp, we are just watching, wow, here's another chapter of total incompetence featuring the Canadian government. And it's like, wow, look at this blooper reel. Look at this public official in Ottawa coaching somebody to pretend that they can't even speak English. These are supposed to be the people that are like fairly and objectively representing the people. Hey, pretend you can't speak English. So you don't have to answer the question about microaggressions, which is totally bogus. Like it's
well, so it's only microaggressions wasn't bogus. Microaggressions themselves are bogus, I think.
whatever. But
Well, I'm
yeah,
just making like the distinction, and I think that it's interesting. Like in that same vein, Brian,
that was a microaggression. What you just did right there, that was a
like
microaggression.
Cindy,
Mark.
Brian Fox, Brian, you know who Brian Fox is, right? The guy accused by by
Oh
the
yes,
Brian Miller.
who definitely was not holding the flag that we won't mention
Well,
of the
in
bad
2021,
ideology.
if January and February 2021, he was far away from Ottawa. He hadn't been in Ottawa
Mm-hmm.
from 2019 to 2021. There was a release like Enterprise released that out, but it was about 2022, not 2021. But anyway, who knows? The judge,
Is that with a press release where they had a massive typo?
is
Is
that a
that with
typo?
that?
You think that was a typo?
And so,
I think that was covering their basis.
so Brian Fox works for Enterprise Canada. Enterprise Canada released this press release. It was all over their website. They're like, look at the press release about this. Like,
Not the car rental company.
yeah, yeah, Enterprise. Yeah, exactly.
The other.
And which is funny because they're like, hey, we had nothing to do with this. And if you look at their website, it's like, hey, we help with crises. We help manipulate the narrative for you. We help control, like, the hard thing of politics and make your, push forward your narrative. We had nothing to do with
nothing
this
to do with
false
that.
flag. Nothing to do with it. How dare you? But
and do you remember when Justin Trudeau threatened to sue Andrew Scheer for saying, I can't remember what he said, but you don't remember this?
No.
Because Andrew Scheer said, bring it on. He said, bring it on the lawsuit. I'd love to see Discovery. You don't remember this? Hold on.
No, I don't.
I have to.
But I was just going to say that Enterprise released their, Enterprise Canada had a press release, and in the first draft they said, therefore this person wasn't there at the protests in Ottawa in February 2021, and it's like the protests were in 2022.
Yeah.
And the thing, and like, they were like, oh, whoops. And like, they switched it and they did like, an official kind of re-release, but it's also like, that's a pretty big, like that's a pretty, like, as a professional who's releasing a press release, like that's a pretty major error. You got the year wrong.
That's what I mean. You think it was a typo? I think it was them covering their butt. I think that makes it through nobody in editing, because that goes through a couple of different people checking the legal letters that go out of a place like that.
So,
right?
so you're saying that they released this honest statement that, hey, I wasn't there in 2021, and that's the official one. And you're saying the second one they released is not the official one. Is there
a second one? Did they release a second one?
Yeah. They did, like 4 or 5 hours later. Yeah.
Did they really? Okay,
that's by
fantastic.
the way, we reposted this with a typo, and I remember thinking, like, why wouldn't you delete the one with the typo? Like, that makes you guys not look professional at all.
Yeah, which is one with the So are both of them floating around their official? Anyway, it's one of those things where the judge, the commissioner in the inquiry, in the Emergencies Act inquiry, didn't want to pursue it. Didn't want to pursue the other thing that we were talking about.
Didn't want to pursue putting
microaggressions,
but also didn't want to pursue having Buddy on the stand, having
Brian
Fox
Fox on the stand. Nothing to do with any of that. Didn't. And that's what I mean. So like, and then I saw a bunch of Toronto Sun people trying to say that Miller owes Brian Fox an apology and all this stuff, and I was like,
Toronto Sun people saying that?
I know, right? But it wasn't just them. It was a bunch of other people too. There was a bunch of other media. I don't care what the media people say. I try to block them out. I don't care about them.
These people are. It's becoming evident these people are in the same club, and it's like really gross.
But that's what I mean. This whole close ranks, and then you better apologize. But nothing's been proven. He's a lawyer who's charged with trying to get to the truth of things, and he had signed affidavits saying that this guy saw that it was Brian Fox, and that should be examined, but it wasn't. And so it's the bullshit like that I get frustrated with, right? And it was SNC Lavalin. Trudeau threatened Scheer with a lawsuit over SNC Lavalin comments, and that never materialized. And so Enterprise threatened to sue Miller. I bet you that never materializes because they don't want Discovery, right? Same reason. They don't want Discovery. And
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's funny because if you look at it from like a zoomed out perspective, it's like, yeah, this inquiry is supposed to make people feel better about what happened and make sure that we're not incompetent assholes. And it's like, I just watched you guys lie under oath. I don't
Yeah.
feel any
Justin
better.
Justin
I don't
Trudeau.
feel any better. Actually, I feel worse.
That
I
was the
feel
teabag.
worse.
That was part of it.
That was the teabag.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, and I guess like once again, the most frustrating thing is like, people like us are just watching this happen, watching these lies happen. And it's like, does anybody care about this? Does anybody care about this except the people who have
care.
already cared? But
So this is a good transition because goes into China. People care and it affects them. And they're breaking out of welded shut what's it called?
apartment building.
Right? Before the fire can take them or the starvation can take them. And so like it's more valuable to them to break out because they got nothing to lose. And so social engineered social credit or government engineered social credit only goes so far until people hit their breaking point. China's in the breaking point. And they want us to model China. And we're watching China say, Xi, see you later, buddy. They don't want this crap. So they're what China's doing?
You do not speak for the Chinese people, Mark. I think they actually enjoy it. Yeah, there's a few of these undesirables who don't like it, but that is a small fringe minority who are complaining about being locked.
I mean, if you look at the population of China, the people on the street are like, 1%, less than 10%.
I mean,
can you minimize?
You don't want to be locked inside your own house,
they
potentially
were
burnt alive. Are you really going to complain about that? It's for your safety. You know that, right? You're not a science denier, are you? Hey, this guy wants out of his apartment building. He's a crazy conspiracy theorist. He wants to go for a walk. Can you believe that?
God. It's crazy. But you know what the Chinese are doing? Any Ottawa residents who are watching right now, cover your ears. They're honking. Honking.
Are they
everywhere.
Actually?
Honking. Yeah, man. They've parked on roadways, and I know it's actually pretty great. They parked on roadways, and there's a whole bunch of different videos coming in from different places. I've seen 3 different videos now of blocked roadways with all cars, trucks, all different vehicles, sitting on the roadway there honking. And I thought to myself, if they had electric cars, if everybody had a Tesla instead of your shitbox GM or whatever you've got, they could just turn off your power of driving, push another button, drive all those damn cars home, or call up whoever their Elon Musk is and say, drive all these cars home, you Elon Musk. And if you don't, we're going to ruin you on Twitter and whatever. And so he does it.
It's true. I don't trust these push to start cars. People are like, oh, it's a car, it's a push to start. And it's like, I don't trust that because they could hotwire that into the government system of social credit, and then you push the button and your car doesn't start.
See, exactly. I'd hotwire my I'd fashion my electric lawnmower into a car.
Nice.
I'm just kidding.
But what you're saying is these people honking, all these Chinese people complaining, they're actually all terrorists, is essentially what you're saying.
According to Justin Trudeau, these people are peaceful protesters who deserve to be heard by the government.
Is that what he said? Did he actually make a comment?
That's exactly what he said. Yes, I kind of wish that was a joke because, but that's actually real. It is real. He was asked and there's video of him saying that. So it'll be on my show tomorrow.
It's insulting.
It's called gaslighting. And that's
insulting.
That's where the gaslighting of Canada and the world is just underway. And it's it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to experience in a visceral sense, watching people dismiss their senses in favor of what the government says, and the government or whoever, the media, who've been wrong on everything, monkeypox, mpox, 6 feet to flatten the curve, 2 weeks. If everybody just masked, this whole thing would be done by the end of July. They're wrong. Every single effective and safe. Everything they said was a complete and utter lie, and they knew it. And now we're supposed to believe them on economic policy and all the rest.
They sound so confident in what they're
saying. They don't sound confident. Theresa Tam could barely read her script. Read the script.
Probably all those boosters. Probably making them a little
I
hazy or
mean,
something.
she didn't look over her shoulder and I don't do a pirouette or whatever. Did you see
Uh,
that Korean guy in that video? Did you see the Korean gamer? Do it is weird. So
what are you
what's
talking
been
about?
making I'm explaining it now. What's been making the rounds is videos of people looking over their shoulder and then and
Fainting.
then fainting, some of them dying, right? And there was a
There,
whole, I don't know how many of them dying. So to be fair, I don't know, but I think that the Korean guy did die. So he was doing a live stream, like he was a gamer, and they were doing a live stream. It was him and some other guy and two girls, and the girls were, talking, and the one guy reaches over and picks something up, and he looks healthy. He looks healthy enough, right? He's sitting on the couch. They're all on. They're live streaming the darn thing, and then he kind of like looks over his shoulder, and then like gets up and then falls over and like into the camera, and like the other guy comes around to pick up the camera, and um
are you saying he died suddenly?
yeah,
Is that what you're suggesting?
that's what I'm suggesting.
Available for streaming on Rumble.
Yeah, and other
Um,
places that haven't had their speech rights clipped, although everywhere I think has had their speech rights clipped. um there was library was having a discussion with Elon Musk talking about how in order to access the Apple App Store, they had to have a list of phrases that returned no results just for the Apple infrastructure. So just if it wanted to run and be in the Apple App Store, it had to censor these terms. And Musk asked which terms, and they said COVID, Pepe the Frog, certain other things. So yeah, green frogs are very triggering, holy smoke. But it's pretty wild. Like censorship is um at the core of what big tech has turned into in the last 10 years at the behest of government. Make no mistake, by the way.
mhm.
10 years, 12 years, 15 years more. Since they had the technology, they've just been waiting to roll it out,
Yeah.
waiting for the right moment. And who knows? Who knows? Um, there's the commercial. You and I both talked about how we did not watch the all Caucasian, I think it's all Caucasian, mostly Caucasian commercial, um, from that clothing company that is not advertising clothing. It is advertising assisted death, suicide. And it's the fact that the suicide commercial in Canada is from a clothing company and features all white people. All of that deserves unpacking. There's a whole lot of talking that needs to
Mhm.
be done around that. What's
Yeah.
happening here?
Apparently, diversity was not necessary when it comes to the commercial all about wanting to die.
Yeah.
We didn't need diversity for that one. No, it could be all whites. It's fine.
That used to be like an insult on if you were playing Xbox Live. And I was never a huge gamer with Xbox Live. I always played like GoldenEye style split screen or quad screen or something like that. If I was playing Halo,
Sure. Sure.
I never played online. But people would often tell you to like off yourself in the Xbox chat, right? And like people, and I've heard friends would talk because they were online gamers and I really wasn't. Friends would talk about like how crazy and vile it was in the
In,
Xbox chat room. Like it got vicious.
in the lobby, in the COD lobby. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Call of Duty. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The COD
You get some
lobby. Yeah.
vicious insults, right? You get some unbelievable. Some people, I remember watching a YouTube video of somebody who put together of his kid playing on this thing. He's like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe people say this stuff. And I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, like that's awful. But like you see the connection I'm trying to make here.
Well, I certainly do, but I would connect it with just the way that we've seen climate change creep into TV commercials, just the way that we've seen, transgenderism or
Clothing company.
sort of woke gender ideology leak into advertisements and
Okay, but
pop culture. The new thing that we're seeing leak in is suicide glamorous. Killing yourself is this glamorous thing. It's a woke thing. It's a woke thing
yes, it
to
is.
die. Yeah, it's the new trend. It's the new thing. I've noticed a little bit of this sprouting up here and there on my own feed, where it's like the people are making the woke argument that medical assistance in dying is like this noble thing. Ending your life is this noble thing. Why? Because capitalism hard. Capitalism bad, and it's hard to have, like, life is suffering, not in a sort of like righteous Christian way. Life is suffering not in a righteous Buddhism way. Life is suffering as in a you should end it type of
Yeah,
way.
okay, so that's what I tried to say. Back then in the Xbox Live lobby, that was a joke. That was a joke. That was a suggestion that was kind of a joke, but it wasn't meant to be taken seriously. And now it seems like the Xbox lobby has been taken out of the Xbox, and that vile messaging has been put everywhere. And it just says to a specific group of people, off yourself. And that's just effed up. And I just, not that I can't get behind it, because you're right. It is a woke virtue. Do you know why it's woke virtue signaling? I think they're going to tie it into climate change too, because you have so many social credits. And once you run out of these social credits that are arbitrarily defined, or if you sell them, then you go, like, your death date, you get to sign up for your death date, and no more suffering for you. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, and we're living in a society where we're pretty far removed from religious morality, Christian morality kind of being a mainstay in people's consciousness, or like their kind of their minds and in the conversations. Like I would say that it's probably been 20 years since that's kind of been at the forefront of how we think about things, like the end of the 90s. Like what
as a society, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of like, hey, well, what is the Christian going to say about that? Or like, what's the Christian morality based on same-sex marriage, or like whatever issue it is. And the thing is, we're so far removed from any sort of like coherent Christian morality. It's also like, are we even connected to any morality at all anymore? And it's at the point, especially in the last like 5 years, especially in the last 3 years, where it's like morality is whatever's on TV today. Therefore, maybe the unvaccinated should be in jail. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and there's so many other examples where it's like, oh, if you don't pay money to the government for the carbon tax, you're an asshole. You're evil. Like, morality is like so fragile. And another great example is like, people were vilifying. I hosted this James Top event that was on the Danforth, and yeah, like this guy's, if you didn't know, James Top marched across the entire country to protest mandates in the military. Maybe you're a pro mandate person, maybe you are, I don't know, but it's like the person who hosted this event got completely vilified as this horrible villain, like all these like names associated with them for hosting this event. And it's like, what was her sin? What is the moral issue here? Like, she hosted an event that is protesting against like unjustified mandates. It's like, it's actually creepy how malleable people's sense of morality is right now. Because as far as I can tell, people jumped on the bandwagon to hate this person for hosting this event simply because there was a headline about it. There was a headline that said, hey, you should hate, hey, newsflash, breaking, you should hate this person.
Yeah, it works really well.
Well, and it only works because people have been so far removed from any sort of like consistent, coherent morality, where it's like, oh, what's my morality today? Orange man bad. What's my morality tomorrow? Putin man bad. What's my morality the next day? Anybody who doesn't support opinion X bad. And
that's what they've been trained. That's what they've been trained to do. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, the masses are trained to listen to the news, trained to listen to these authoritative people. The people who are in leadership positions are supposed to be smart, or listen to smart people. And so we should listen to them because they're supposed to listen to smart people. And so we're trained from childhood, from our parents, from society in this Western culture, to hand over the decisions to these people. But it's become a weird team sport where if you disagree, you're all of a sudden, you're out, man, you're out. And suddenly everybody's acting like Scientologists if you're out. Like, it's crazy, like, and Scientologists are very aggressive if somebody's trying to leave the religion. So anyway.
Yeah, and it's ironically or coincidentally, like, it's replaced religion. It's the new religion.
But yeah, I think that's the level of zealotry. I didn't say it very clearly, but yeah, it has. You can get somebody who in Scientology believes that they're acting in the best interest of everyone involved. And what they're doing is completely nuts. It seems they're stalking somebody, they're making fun of somebody, they're trying to destroy somebody's life. But they believe that what they're doing is good, right? And the same thing is happening with this COVID thing. Somebody believes I'm forcing this person to get a mask on, I'm protecting us all. I'm forcing this person to get a vaccine, I'm protecting him and me. I'm forcing this person to lose their job, better for everybody involved because that person's could spread COVID. These are insane things. This is insane. This is not how a rational person thinks, but this is how we've been trained to think, and to allow other people to tell us that that's virtuous and good. And that's crazy. But you're right. We're very malleable as to ideas like that. We're very open to it. And if it's not directly your fault, if all you have to do is remain silent, and the silence is free, you don't lose anything, but you don't get anything. And if you speak up for the person who's experiencing the injustice, you get about the same. You get about the same. You pay. That's right. You pay about the same as the person who's experiencing the injustice. If that person was getting fired, you're now next. You're low man on the totem pole because you exposed yourself, right?
Yeah.
And people don't understand that sometimes. People call me, or people ask me, how do I talk about this to my manager or to my coworkers? And I always say, don't. Holy smoke, don't. What are you talking about? Do you want to keep working there?
Yeah, no, that they are the new religious zealots. And I tweeted about this morning, and it's like people, especially if you are, a freedom fighter type person and you feel very like isolated and you feel whatever, just remember, like, these anti-convoy people, these people are ignorant and hateful. These are the ignorant and hateful people. These are the people that have the wrong information. These are the misinformed people. These are the people who are being so unreasonably hateful towards people who disagree with them. Like, these are the people who are like, oh, we got to stop the racism and the white supreme, whatever. And it's like, no, you guys are,
you're the racist.
You're ignorant. You're ignorant to the truth. You're ignorant to like basic things at this point. And on top of that, you're justified in hating people who disagree with you. And the most annoying part is there's no consequences for these people. They can be as hateful and ignorant as they want, and there's no consequences whatsoever. In fact, it's embraced and encouraged and promoted on our propaganda in this country.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like, I don't want to say like, hey, they're the real racists, but it's like, we are living in this era where they are the ones who can be as belligerently ignorant and hateful as they want. And for some reason, there are no consequences. There won't be consequences.
For now, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I can't make a prediction because things are just so crazy. I mean, I didn't think things could last after Biden got it, and here we are.
Can I segue into a crazy topic before we go?
Sure. I was going to say we're wrapping up, but yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of chaotic and crazy, have you been seeing Yay 24 in the States? Have you seen this stuff?
Yeah, I watched the whole part of Timcast where he was there, and I have to say, I think Tim played it wrong personally. What's your take on, like, do you think Kanye's completely around the bend crazy, or do you think that the machine is correct in this case?
So what we have going on in the States, for those who don't know, Kanye West, or Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is.
I don't feel comfortable calling him Ye. I feel like it's too informal. Anyway,
dude, it's one syllable because he's that special. He's running for president of the United States of America, and he's teamed up with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yep.
Who was like, a super controversial provocateur who really was like, championing Trump to be elected back in 2016.
And well, if you don't know more, I just want to give a little bit more context to Milo. Milo is a gay. He's a British gay, married to a black man last I heard, but I'm not sure. He's gay married. He's got an interracial gay marriage, and he's like a gay man. Anyway. Yeah. He also
claims to be a reformed gay, like he's not gay anymore, and he's actually like came.
Oh my gosh, really?
To Christ, yeah. And I've been actually following his Telegram
Seriously?
channel.
We might have to talk about that after.
I don't know. I've been following his Telegram channel for like years now, not closely or anything.
Yeah.
But sure enough, he like praised the rosary and stuff with his followers and stuff, and like he's apparently like denounced his sodomy. So that's
Weird.
that's
Wow. I mean,
apparently,
I always kind of thought the whole thing was an act. But anyway, okay. So let's not get too far
yeah.
gone
So
here. Let's talk about
yeah,
Kanye.
so Kanye West is running for president in the US. He started his campaign. He's teamed up with Milo Yiannopoulos, who a
Yeah.
controversial character, and also Nicholas J. Fuentes, which is
Yeah.
an even more controversial character.
Yeah.
And
They had a lunch with Trump.
they had a lunch with Trump. And here's what I think people should think about this. Regardless of what you think about any of these characters, this is a good thing. This is a good thing for people who think like us, because this is so damn disruptive. It is
Yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
so disruptive to people's
Oh, they're trying to shut him
programming,
down. Yeah.
to people's, like, to people, how they think of, an election to go. And it's also a good thing. It's just disruptive. Like these characters are, like, super animated. Their takes are, like, super really challenging to the status quo.
Yeah.
And but it's also a good thing because they are flanking Trump on the right now. And that's a good thing, because
Trump look.
that shifts the
Yeah.
Overton window to the right. So
And it makes Trump look reasonable. So one of the things I wanted to mention the only reason I wanted to bring up Trump really was to mention that Kanye offered a VP position to Trump at the meeting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
And
that's
well,
amazing.
they're probably both like, Kanye's like, hey, you want to be my vice president? And then Trump's like, no, do you want to be my vice president?
Yeah,
And like, no, you want to be my vice president? And then it just goes
yeah.
back and forth. Two egos, two
I
massive
could, I could,
egos.
I could see that. But I think so. The funny thing about Yi, in my opinion, when he was on Timcast,
Yay.
so is that how you say it? Yay. I met
Yay.
that
It's
name.
like, yay. Yeah.
Really? That's amazing. Yay.
People, you can say ye, but I think it's yay. I think it's yay is the way to say it.
Well, his name is Kanye, so that would make sense. I don't know why I went to Yi. That's weird. Okay,
Well, it's
you're right.
spelled Y-E.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. But Kanye was talking about how he heard from the IRS and they froze a couple of $100 million of his in some different bank accounts. And I thought, man, that's crazy. It's a couple 100 million is just frozen in these bank accounts. And he's talking about how he's buying a bank and they only wanted 25 million for this bank. He said, but I got all this money.
Mhm.
And he was, but the attack part of that he had to pay all these back taxes, I thought was interesting. They're going to do their best to destroy him because he does make Trump look moderate. And they're going to do their best to pull him out of all of the stuff that he is doing right now. Just like they can say that the convoy was a violent, illegal occupation. None of that is true. All of that is false. But people have repeated it ad nauseum and people believe it. And so, I mean, to quote Catherine McKenna, right? If you say it loud enough, if you
Loud
repeat it,
enough. Yeah.
people will totally believe you.
And that's a great comparison, because it's like, what was the crime of people who support the convoy? What was they have very legitimate grievances that they're
They embarrassed
protesting the
Trudeau.
government about. Yeah. And it's like, they're being persecuted, they're having their accounts frozen. And I'm sorry, it's the same thing with Kanye. What was his crime? Sure. Did he make some inflammatory remarks about
Well,
Jewish people? Sure, he did. But like, there's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing even, quite frankly, necessarily hateful about that. I could see how people could interpret it as hate. Absolutely. But it's like, if you compare this to how people speak about any other group, it's like, it's totally insane. It's totally like, hey, we're gonna freeze your bank account. Actually, I saw a tweet that I thought was interesting, which was like, what's his face? What's the dancer, that Chris Brown, who beat up Rihanna?
Oh yeah.
Chris Brown beat up Rihanna. Weinstein, systematically coerced like young actresses to have sex with them to get like movie roles. Like, there's so many other examples of high profile people doing egregious shit. Did they freeze their bank accounts? Not
Not
at all.
yet.
Not at all.
Not yet.
Not at all. They didn't care about those, screwing their, like, ending their life, or financially in such a sort of like,
they didn't represent
way.
they didn't represent such a threat, and Kanye represents a real threat. One thing I wanted to point out because Kanye left after 20 minutes, I think it was minute 18, that he gets up and walks out, and there wasn't even anything really that incited it, except that Tim Pool asked him, "Who are they?" I think that was the last thing Pool said to Kanye before he just got up and left.
That's what Ye said. Who's they though?
No, because Kanye said, "Who's they though?" And he got up and left because he was like, "I've already told you who they are." But Kanye made an interesting point like 5 minutes before that. He said, like, listen, um, when I told you I was running for president to Tim Pool, you said that I would be good for the black voting bloc. Why can you talk about black people as a group of people, but I can't talk about Jewish people as a group of people if the Jewish people run entertainment? And that never got answered because Poole pivoted to saying you can't take your personal experiences and generalize it to everything. And Kanye was like, I've met everybody in the top leadership of everything. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
and then he got up and left.
yeah. I've always appreciated Tim Pool. Like I've seen his trajectory over the years, and like
Yeah.
he's done a lot of great things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in this interview, um, well, I
Two
mean,
thumbs down.
one thing that was super disingenuous from Tim,
Yeah.
like he's first of all, he's like, this is our format. This is because after Kanye stormed off, he like
Yeah.
kept
The whole,
talking
yeah.
for like an hour. It's very, very cringe.
Yeah. It
And
was cringe. I thought they should have ended it too.
yeah, and
I
he's
fast
like,
forwarded just to see if Kanye ever came back.
yeah, no.
He didn't.
This is our format. We do the news. Like that's just the way we do it. We do the news. And it's like, dude, like Kanye West is in the room. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Like
Like,
you
like
don't,
fuck your format. Okay. Like let the man speak.
yeah. If
Give us
Kanye
some
was
good,
on,
give us some good content, by
if,
the way. Like
yeah,
let
Jeepers
let him
Creepers.
speak. Give us some good content. Give your channel, give your audience some good content. But the really disingenuous thing that ticked me off by from Tim was later he's like, oh, why did Kanye West bring up like the anti-Semitism thing? Why did Kanye bring up the Jewish thing? Why we were just trying to do the news. And it's like, Tim, in the first 4 minutes of your podcast,
Yeah.
you brought up a headline that says, hey, Pence disavows like Trump bringing anti-Semite to like dinner. It's like
Yeah.
you called Kanye West an anti-Semite in the first 4 minutes of your podcast, bro. You're why did Kanye West start talking about Jewish people? It's like, dude, you fucking called him anti-Semite off the
Yeah.
top, the
Yeah.
very beginning. Like that
Yeah.
was super disingenuous.
So
And
speaking moistly, would
yeah,
like to invite Milo and Kanye and who's the other guy? Nick.
that's right. We're
We'll
ready to
have you
have an
guys
open
on,
conversation.
right? Well, I'll bring it into the garage here. Kanye, I'll send you the address next week.
But
um, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I thought Tim Pool, I've seen him do better. I think he's trying to appease the people on the left. And I'm not into that anymore. That's so 2019. Like, did you guys miss everything that happened since then? We need to stop listening to these crazy people.
yeah, and I'm glad it happened the way it happened because, they could have had a conversation, but like when Ye left and they were kind of left like bumbling about, it was really weird vibe, or they're like, yeah, and like we think differently than them on this issue. Like it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
so
A lot of
wrong think. We're
yeah.
not allowed to
Well,
have wrong think. It's like the whole thing was very kind of like, huh.
they were
Just
reinforcing the fact they were trying to back up their play. Like, we didn't do anything wrong. That was you being crazy.
And once again, it's
I
like,
don't think so.
if it's such a cut and dry, easy to explain thing, then like, why can't you just cut and dry, easily explain it? Like
Simple. Like if the convoy was illegal, like if it met the legal threshold and there was a threat to Canada, you would think that they would just get right to that in the Emergencies Act
yeah, done.
inquiry. You'd think they'd be like the first thing, but the first thing they did was, we need to have Zexy Lee in here, and we need to understand how loud it was in her apartment. And I think that's pretty effed up.
This is how many decibels. Yeah, we're going to talk about decibels to justify calling you all terrorists. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, we got to wrap it up. I got to grab my kids. Where can they find you?
Find me, Greg Wycliffe on Instagram. Greg, yeah, I don't know. You know my name, Greg Wycliffe. Google me, you'll find me. I'm on the different platforms. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Nice, buddy. You'll contact Kanye's people, right? You send that email? Do you want me
My
to send
people is in touch with his people, and
we'll set it up. We'll set it up.
Right.
We'll have them here to fix that Tim Pool appearance. Okay. You can find me at CanadaPoly.com and all the rest of the stuff that I do. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Making my